We have, on average, 1,100 to 1,200 head of cattle. This number is variable because we acquire and sell animals, as this is a breeding farm. Here are some bulls that will go to the Esencia Carabranca auction on the 2nd of August this year. The property comprises 741 alcares, of which 360 alcares are cropland. The fattened cattle have been slaughtered with an average carcass yield of 54%.
The carcass yield generally ranges from 53 to 54%. However, there is an important detail. These animals are raised 100% on pasture. They are not sent to confinement. They achieve this weight and carcass yield entirely on pasture, from weaning to slaughter. The commercial cattle are generally made available to breeders who carry out rearing, or to those who perform direct slaughter for the packing plant. That is the commercial herd. Then, we have the stud animals, which are Hereford and Braford, the white-faced cattle we work with. These animals are primarily destined for reproduction.
Generally, we sell the heifer at 1-year-old. We wean it and almost complete the rearing phase. I greatly appreciate this type of cattle because it consumes little pasture, and the mother is exceptional. She takes excellent care of the heifer and delivers it ready.
Jesse sent a message saying that he won't be making videos anymore because you haven't subscribed to the Santa Fe channel. So subscribe now, and he will continue recording on farms around the world.
Welcome everyone to the Santa Fe channel. Today I am here with Cesar at São Miguel Agricultural. We come from a beef cattle farm which handles around 1,200 animals per year of Hereford, Braford, and Brangus breeds. In this video, you will see many tips regarding agriculture and livestock, all the experiences of Cesar and his farm manager. I hope you enjoy this video. Welcome to our channel, subscribe, and leave a like on our video.
Good morning. My name is Cesar. We are from São Miguel Agricultural. We work in agriculture and livestock. In the livestock segment, we handle commercial Hereford and Braford cattle. In the genetics segment, we work with Hereford, Braford, and Brangus. The property comprises 741 alcares, of which 360 alcares are cropland. These croplands include some leased areas. In the livestock sector, we maintain an average of 1,100 to 1,200 head of cattle, including both commercial and purebred animals. In the croplands, we employ crop livestock integration, where, in the winter, after removing the summer crops, we sow 70% of the area with oat and ryegrass, and the other 30% with wheat and oat seed production. We maintain an average of 1,100 to 1,200 head of cattle. This number is variable, as we acquire and sell animals, being a breeding farm. Thus, it is a fluctuating population. Among these, approximately 150 are purebred animals of the Hereford, Braford, and Brangus breeds. The remainder are commercial animals. We focus on selling heifers for rearing. In the past 3 years, we have also started fattening. We are finishing these cattle on oat and later supplementing with silage. Finally, we are using high grain to complete the fattening process. High grain is a tool that has helped us sell the cattle at a better time. Typically, people remove cattle from oat between September and October. Therefore, there is a significant supply of finished animals at that time. With high grain, we can delay this sale. Thus, we keep the animals longer on the farm, selling them in a period of lower animal supply. Additionally, the high grain improves carcass yield by producing an animal with lower rumen volume and better carcass finish. This is the livestock shed. Here we have the tool areas used in daily operations. We also have a leisure area for the staff. Sometimes we hold get-togethers with the team. Here we have the veterinary pharmacy. This is a veterinary pharmacy. It contains all the medications, ear tags, bathing products, and vaccines. We also use this area to store some tools and the employees' personal protective equipment, PPE. This is where the nitrogen tank containing semen and animal embryos is kept. As we attend fairs, we acquire genetic material and store it here on the farm for later use. Let us head over to that section. Let us move on to the cattle handling area, Mangera. Today, the team is working with the Angus cattle on the registration process. This is the section used for handling the animals. Here, there is also a schedule board for the cattle by paddock and for the cow herd management. They monitor operations here as the cattle are moved, so the team can keep track. When the cattle are shifted to a new paddock, the board is updated accordingly. We are heading to the cattle handling area. We are working with the Brangus cattle. Over there is Guilherme with more staff, along with Copetti, who handles the registration and documentation for the Brangus breed.
My name is Luis Copetti. I am a technician with the Brazilian Brangus Association. He called me here to confirm the registration of cattle he acquired from another producer. The producer sold them to him with provisional registration. Once the animal reaches around 15 months of age, it becomes eligible to receive definitive registration, provided there are no disqualifying traits such as white spots, horns, crooked legs, or poor development. If disqualified, we cancel the animal's registration. I already inspected the animals behind them earlier when I arrived. None of the animals have defects or disqualifying issues, so all of them will receive the registration. The association sends me a list of animals that are eligible for registration. Now, we are proceeding to tag the animals, after which they will receive their definitive registration. Once they are definitively registered, they can be used for breeding. A purebred animal without definitive registration cannot serve as a dam. It must have the definitive papers. From now on, they will proceed to inseminate and incorporate these animals into their herd.
Let us go in. A lot of females has been set aside, including Braford and Brangus. Here, we have some Brangus that are part of a partnership with another producer. We rotate them based on pasture availability, moving them from paddock to paddock. Here is a Tifton pasture. This is first-year Tifton, which will complete 1 year in May. And here is a section with 2-year-old Tifton. I will go down there. Take a look. Down there is an area where we make silage. I have 2 types of silage, trench silo silage and bagged silage. However, this is emergency silage, as I previously mentioned. It is used during the forage gap period. We generally do not fatten cattle using silage.
We wean the commercial cattle at around 8 months of age. Part of this group is finished on the farm, where we rear replacement heifers for the herd. The calves we retain are weaned at 8 months, reared and finished on oat pasture. We slaughter them in September or October, already heavy. Finished steers ready for slaughter, averaging 550 kilograms. And in the purebred herd, Cesar works with the Hereford, Braford, and Brangus breeds. We sell breeding females, hold an annual auction, and also sell bulls for general cattle herds. The bulls are generally sold at 2 to 2.5 years old, up to 3 years. The females are sold at roughly the same age category, from 2 to 2.5 years, and they are usually already pregnant. We also work with IVF and embryo transfer.
Just to show a bit, this is a silage area. What we make here is trench silo silage. We usually process 3 alcares per year. This year, it was a little over 2 alcares. We consistently produce 200 to 300 tons of silage every year. Part of it goes into trench silos, and part we are now bagging to improve handling efficiency. This makes it easier to transport from one location to another. Any tractor can handle it. It has worked very well. This is actually the first year we are doing this, so we will test how it performs. The central feed bunk is typically where we provide the silage with supplementation. The cattle kept closer to the headquarters are fed here. We also keep part of the pre-dried forage here to make it more readily available for use with the herd, which improves distribution across the farm. We will later look at the location where most of the pre-dried forage bales are kept. Regarding the steers, the fattened cattle we have been slaughtering show an average carcass yield of 54%. The cull females, meaning those not pregnant that year, are finished as well. Sometimes they are already fat, and then they also go to slaughter. The females yield between 48 and 49% carcass. With high grain finishing, we have reached up to 55% carcass yield. In fact, with high grain, even up to 55%. In the recent batch, we left them for 45 days, not even 2 months. But I believe that if they stay for a full 2 months, the yield could exceed 55%. We also raise a small number of sheep here. Part of the sheep is for on-farm consumption, but we also sell the surplus locally. However, it is a smaller scale enterprise on the farm.
What is their breed?
Here we have Texel, which is a very good meat breed. Texel meat is appreciated even by people who are not fond of lamb, as it does not have the strong flavor that many other breeds tend to have. Here are some of the bulls that will go to the Essencia Carabranca auction on the 2nd of August this year. We start preparing the animals here in an area closer to the house to facilitate handling. Afterward, they will be sent to the auction. We hold 1 bull auction per year. This upcoming auction will be virtual. We follow it at the Pampa Remate Studio. Matthias is responsible for filming and recording the animals. On the event day, we go to the Pampa Studio where the auction is conducted. It has been nearly 3 years since we launched our first auction. It was actually the people from Pampa Remats who initially reached out to Guilherme. We were already considering doing more in the future. So, the Pampa team and Luis Roberto contacted Guilherme, who relayed the idea to me. I was very pleased because we had been thinking about participating in an auction. Thus, we work in partnership with Pampa and an additional guest, Fazenda 2A. Since the auction is a showcase, we always strive to improve the quality of the animals, whether nutritionally, genetically, or in management practices, to produce more docile animals. Through the auction, we aim to enhance all these qualities, as the auction serves as a showcase for the entire farm. While we also produce commercial cattle, the auction provides greater prominence to the farm, and it is essential to focus on producing high-quality animals. What is not good does not go to the auction. Here are the males, right? The females, Hereford and Braford, which you just saw, they are also females destined for the auction. Those you just filmed are the females that will go to auction. A selection will be made. Not all of them will go, but a large portion will be auctioned. Where we are now used to be a soybean area. After harvesting, in the winter, we introduce oat. In some areas, we also introduce ryegrass. And in some years, we make a mixture of oat with ryegrass. In the areas we dedicate to ryegrass, we use the Camaro ryegrass, which has a longer cycle. Camaro provides nearly 7 months of grazing. Over there, we have a new Tifton area under development. It was planted around January, so it is still establishing. We did one grazing pass just to slightly drag the grass and stimulate sprouting. That was the purpose of this grazing. And here, there is a legal reserve area. However, we introduce ervamate, yerba mate, underneath. So, under this forest, we clear the understory and plant ervamate here. For the pre-dried forage, we usually cut the oat when it is at the beginning of grain formation. We cut it and leave it to dry for nearly 2 days. It does not dry completely. Otherwise, it would be hay. It's about 1.5 to 2 days, just enough to dehydrate slightly. After some dehydration, they come and bale the pre-dried forage and wrap it with plastic film for preservation. This material, stored here on the farm, lasts up to 2 years in very good condition. Some care must be taken regarding rodents. You need to ensure it does not get punctured and thus avoid damaging the pre-dried forage. This area here is corn stubble. Since there was a lot of leftover corn, we let the cattle graze here. Afterward, as there was still a lot of corn stalk, we ran the shredder over it, and now we will plant oat for grazing the animals, specifically the commercial male weanlings.
Approximately how many animals?
Here we have 164 head, averaging between 230 to 260 kilograms. They are offspring of bulls from our own stud. Yes, from Hereford and Braford, raised right here on the farm. Good morning, my name is Guilherme Ramos, and I work at São Miguel Agricultural, Campo Redondo farm. These animals here are the weaned commercial cattle from the farm. The farm works with both commercial cattle and purebred cattle, which is the stud herd. These here are the commercial animals. We wean them at around 8 months of age, with an average weight between 240 and 280 kilograms. They were weaned and went straight onto millet pasture, which is intercropped with soybean. After harvesting the soybean, we plant the millet, and they stay there until the end of the millet cycle. They achieve a daily gain of 1.200 kilograms to 1.250 kilograms on millet. After that, once the millet or sorghum cycle ends, they move on to oat. Last year, their average daily gain, both on millet and oat, was the same, 1.250 kilograms to 1.300 kilograms on average. These animals remain on the farm until mid-October, maybe late September, when we deliver them already fattened directly to the slaughterhouses. These animals reach 17 to 18 months of age, weighing around 570 to 560 kilograms on average. Their daily gain from weaning to slaughter averaged 1.250 kilograms, as I mentioned earlier in the video. The commercial cattle are generally sold to breeders who conduct rearing or directly to those who perform slaughter at the packing plants. That is the commercial herd. Then we have the stud herd, consisting of Hereford, Braford, and Brangus, which we work with. These animals are mainly intended for reproduction. That is, the females are purebred, PO. After weaning, we select the best animals and direct them as breeding dams to produce purebred animals. The males serve the same purpose, sold for covering commercial cattle females, or even females from other stud herds. These animals have been on oat for about 15 days, having come off millet. On millet, they achieved 1.250 kilograms of daily gain. On oat, since it has only been a short time, we have not yet measured their performance, but compared to the previous year, they maintain the same weight from oat to millet. We now incorporate a protein energy supplement during the winter, which improves the digestibility of oat. Since oat is a forage high in water content and protein, we use an energy supplement to balance it and improve nutrient utilization. Afterward, these animals move into the rearing phase. Once they reach over 350 kilograms, they go into rearing, and we slightly adjust the diet, aiming to increase protein intake to achieve a slightly higher weight gain, so that by September or October, these animals reach an average of 570 to 580 kilograms. The carcass yield generally averages 53 to 54%. However, an important detail is that these animals are raised 100% on pasture. They do not go into confinement. They achieve this weight and carcass yield entirely on pasture, from weaning to slaughter.
Here we have a millet area. This millet was sown when the soybean reached about 30 to 40%, let's say 50%, leaf drop. We broadcast the seed using a sprayer, a self-propelled machine equipped with a seed box, and the air system distributes the seed through the booms. So, when you go and harvest the soybean, after another 20 to 30 days, the pasture is ready. This is the Santa Fe intercropping system. There are several ways to implement it. You can plant the pasture using a planter beforehand, and then plant the corn over it. Or, you can buy a third box for the planter and simultaneously sow the pasture seed while planting the corn. Next, here is a brachiaria area, specifically Brachiaria ruziziensis. Afterward, you perform herbicide control to prevent it from smothering the corn. Once the corn is ahead, there's no longer any concern, and after you harvest the corn, about 30 days later, the brachiaria comes up and you can graze the cattle on it. This is a very good system for the soil because the soil remains protected at all times. Even between the corn rows, you notice good vegetation. Rain can fall without water runoff, and afterward, there remains a cover layer that lasts long after the corn harvest. Until frost arrives, this pasture will persist.
What is the corn harvest height?
Here, we harvest the corn as grain. So, once the corn is mature and ready, we perform a normal grain harvest. Of course, if you use this system for silage, it works even better. When you harvest the grain, the corn stover remains on top, which slightly hinders brachiaria growth. It will take about 25 to 30 days before grazing. I initially thought the coverage wouldn't be as good, but it turned out to cover well. This system is excellent. It's our first year implementing it on the farm, and I am very pleased with it. This was an area of corn, totaling 23 alcares. We removed a little over 2 alcares to make silage. Since the area would otherwise sit idle, we planted beans. Today, those beans will be harvested, and the area will be closed off. We will also take advantage of the area where the corn grain was harvested, as there was some seed drop that led to reseeding, and we will use it for grazing cattle. We will close it off within 2 days to allow cattle into that area.
Here on the farm, we also look for additional feeds besides pasture. We aim to make corn silage, or pre-dried forage. In this particular case today, we have pre-dried oat forage. But we also produce pre-dried ryegrass, and if desired, we could make it from millet, sorghum, tifton, or any grass species you can imagine. We produce it in winter when we have the greatest forage availability. These here are oat pre-dried bales. The average yield is 30 to 35 bales per alcare. For ryegrass, it's around 18 to 21 bales per alcare as well. We use this as a backup feed during summer or even now if an early frost hits. We use the bales to supplement the animals on pasture. We also have another farm, which we lease in Coronel Vivida, where we have no winter pasture. There, it is exclusively summer pasture, only brachiaria, armatria, and tifton. So, about 60 days before winter starts, we bring in the pre-dried forage bales to preserve the available fiber and ensure the animals don't suffer too much. We start feeding them 60 days ahead of winter to ensure they enter the cold season, well prepared and resilient to the cold.
Here we have a lot of white-faced cows, zebu cattle. There's a mix of Nilor and Tabapois. I really like this type of cattle because they consume little pasture, and the mothers are exceptional. They take excellent care of their heifers and deliver them well prepared. These animals also require less ectoparasite treatment, such as baths, because they have fine coats. Generally, they have fewer problems with warble flies or ticks compared to other breeds. They also cross very well. If you breed them with a Hereford or another pure breed, or an Angus, their F1 crossbred calves sell very well. There is always strong demand, so it is a type of cattle I appreciate. Here on the farm, we have 2 lots of zebu cows, Nelore and Tabapois, and we use Hereford or Angus bulls on them. From this crossbreeding, you get a steer that, once finished, depending on the type of pasture, will yield at least 53% carcass. In some cases, it reaches 53 to 54%, and if sent to confinement, it exceeds 55%.